Hi, Nicholas and Allison. It's Amy Arnold.
Hi,
I am
Amy.
here to help moderate your session. So I just let you both in and made you both co-hosts. So you should have screen sharing capabilities. Just want to make sure that you can unmute yourselves and all that kind of stuff.
Perfect.
And I will be admitting people in the room. I just left them in the waiting room for right now because I figured you wanted to get things set up.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate
Good to see you.
it. You too. Hope you're doing
a while. I don't know how long, but
I know it's been a long time.
Thanks for presenting today.
Of course. Yeah, we're happy to be here. What else would we be doing?
I know. So my whole thing is I just pretty much tell people to use the chat to ask questions and then tell them that you guys will be checking it periodically. And if it's something I can answer, I'll try to answer it. Or if you put links up, I'll try to copy them into the chat.
Okay.
And then there's a hard stop at 11:50. We end the meeting for everyone at 11:50. So I'll try to give you like a 10-minute heads up. But we have to end the meeting so we can start the next one. So anyway.
Okay. That works for me actually. Yeah, that's perfect.
And we already have like 20 people waiting.
Cool.
So that's good.
All right. Good. Hopefully they're happy. We'll see.
Yeah. All right.
Cool.
Well, I'm going to turn off my video.
Okay, sounds good. Nicholas, are you going to leave your video on when we're talking, not talking? I assume we.
Do you want to do that or no?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm happy to.
It's like a bandwidth thing, I guess.
Yeah, true. And I don't think I'll be looking around as much as I normally do, but feel free if you need to.
Yeah, my headshot looks better than my current.
I know. I was going to say, me too.
My barber sent an email and they're like, tentatively May 1st, and I've been Marco Poloing with.
Attending our ELCC session today called Developing Training and Supporting Interactive Multimedia Use by Adjunct Faculty in Online Learning Environments. So my name is Allison O'Grady and I'm co-presenting with Nicolas Parez. I'll introduce myself first. So Allison O'Grady, Senior Instructional Support Specialist. We both work on a team called the Learning Experience Design Team at University College. And specifically, I help manage faculty training and development initiatives, as well as some Canvas administration. And I also teach as an adjunct, online and formerly on-campus classes. So thank you. I'll let Nicholas introduce himself.
Yeah, I'm Nicolas Parez. I work with Allison on the Learning Experience Design Team and for Allison, delivering those faculty development experiences, troubleshooting, do a lot of ed tech, educational technology work for University College and D large, in collaboration with Allison and a lot of different IT and techies across the University of Denver. So, so today we're here to talk to you about some of those topics and those developmental initiatives and things that we've done, one specifically.
Great, thank you.
So today we're going to be using Poll Everywhere a few times. So go ahead and open another browser window and plug in the pollev.com at the top. That code and that window we'll use that about 3 times. So it'll be the same code. So we wanted to start this out with a little bit of remote humor, as I'm referring to it, since most of us are working remotely these days. And once you've gotten in there, go ahead and let us know A, B, or C. Early morning remote humor.
It's a pretty important question. We just need to know about our audience. I'm anticipating B. Okay. Oh.
Okay. Yeah. Nobody's going for C.
It's okay. We won't.
Here we go.
Let's see. There we go. Okay, more even distribution. Love it.
Yeah,
Business
cool.
on top, party on the bottom for some of you. Okay.
Well, we hope you found this remotely funny.
Oh.
There we go.
We have a Who Needs Pants. I get it. That's why I love the ELCC community. We can have some fun together. All right.
All right, let's move.
Well, thank you for filling out the poll. We'll give you a short overview of the agenda. Just a second, we'll toggle back. There we go. Okay, so today we're going to talk about a little bit about University College, who we are, and our adjunct faculty population. The tool that we're focusing on today is H5P, and so we'll highlight the need for H5P. We had a technology initiative, so we'll talk through that a little bit. The solution itself and the infrastructure that Nicolas helped to set up at the University of Denver, the administration of the site, and then support for faculty and training. So how did we get faculty to buy in to use this tool? And how did we train them? And then we want to finish the session by showcasing some of the great products that our faculty have produced in H5P. So hopefully that sounds like a good agenda. And if there's other things that you want to talk about or questions you have, like Amy said, just pop it in the chat. Great. Let's see, there we go. All right. So University College is the School of Continuing and Professional Studies at the University of Denver. We have over 13 academic programs, and we have other non-credit offerings like the Center for Professional Development. We host OLLI, Osher Lifelong Learning Institute. We also have an enrichment program, so we kind of dabble in all aspects of education. So we have over 1,500 students, some corporate partnerships. 34 is the average student age. Most of our students before COVID-19, we had about 70% of our students taking online classes. And we have over 340 adjunct faculty. So this team is pretty critical in terms of training the experts in how to teach online and how to leverage technology. And then finally, we're on the quarter system, if that matters, 4 quarters a year. So we're constantly flipping to the next quarter and trying to look ahead. Okay, so essentially our dean of University College came to us and said, hey, we really need to compete a little bit more with companies like 2U, and we need to kind of up our technology game. We are currently using the Canvas learning management system, but there's a fine art to inspiring adjuncts to do more. Adjuncts are already probably underpaid and already have enough to do in the classroom in terms of course management. So how can we inspire them to try new tools? And so what we did was we conducted a faculty survey, probably, how long ago, Nicolas? Over a year ago, year and a half ago maybe, to ask faculty some basic questions like what are the challenges they have to using technology, what resources do they need from the learning experience design team, would they prefer that technology was already built into their courses, or are they interested in developing that technology for themselves? So really the results showed that faculty, they want easy tools that were managed in-house. So they tend to not go off on their own and find new tools. They wanted DU supported tools where they could get tech help from our team and the Office of Teaching and Learning. And as much as we could, offer just an easy solution to help them build and not waste a lot of time building that infrastructure. So Nicolas looked into H5P as an option for University College, and that's kind of where all of this started.
So we're going to return to the poll everywhere and kind of get a sense. This is a free response, so you can write in, what potential educational technology needs does your college have? What are you guys working with or looking for or exploring to improve learning experiences or provide newer, richer online learning experiences? Or how to handle the current scenario of remote learning.
Yeah, I suspect we're not alone in trying to figure out how we can incentivize the use of technology. There we go. So LMS continuing ed courses. So it's great to hear from other folks in the room about your needs or how that's coming to fruition at your own colleges. LMS for continuing ed courses. Yes.
Perfect. Tools instructors can use on their own. From our survey, that's kind of what we, some of our summary, our conclusion walked away, what we were looking for, what we could, what our faculty were willing to work with.
Great, working on getting video on the go for faculty checkout and use at their own leisure. Great, these are great responses. To get away.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the PowerPoint, you'll see an H5P solution to that right now, where it's a little bit better, a little more interactive, and you'll see some examples towards the end of improving those types of scenarios where it's just voice over PowerPoint.
Great, these are fantastic responses, and this is similar to some of the challenges we faced. Yeah, we were lucky to get faculty using PowerPoints back in the day, and now we're like, okay, we need to reassess and we need to keep up with the times and best practices. So yeah, those hour-long recordings over PowerPoint aren't going to work anymore for the students.
Yeah.
So,
and replacing Storyline 360, that was one of the products we evaluated. Allison will talk a little bit more about that. There were some issues with scalability of that and getting 340 adjunct faculty to use and adopt Storyline. That would be an incredible feat, financially and training wise.
Great. Well, yeah, these are great responses. Thank you. And that kind of helps us go into our next. Let's see. So yeah, when we were looking to adopt certain tools, we knew that the university already had license to Zoom, and we were using some in-house tools. But wanted to take it to the next level in terms of interaction and building up student interaction. So there are a few things that all probably consider when you're looking at new tools. And probably the top two are the most important to us, is the scalability of the tools and the cost of the solution. So cost is probably actually the most important. If you can't afford the tool or you can't afford 340 licenses, then we're not going to go with that option. So the great thing about H5P is the way we are using it, it's a free solution that provides over 40 applications for faculty to use. So it's not a one-size-fits-all. It allows for that flexibility, and it's completely scalable. So we have, Nicolas will show you later, he'll showcase kind of our H5P site, but basically faculty can reuse content, they can share, they can copy something an artifact that another faculty made and reuse it. So it's definitely scalable, and it's easy to kind of rework the work that somebody else has already done. So it kind of leads to that community of open creative works. We found that our faculty are like really enjoying seeing what other faculty are making, and that kind of builds to that community piece. We also did want to consider training. So we needed tools that were easy to train faculty on. So we'll talk through a little bit about what we've developed. We've run some workshops, some asynchronous mixed with synchronous components in terms of workshops. We also have a self-paced course so that faculty can walk through the H5P tool at their own leisure. And then we wanted to accommodate for the average learning curve. So the great thing about H5P is you can make super advanced artifacts, or you can make just basic little interactive exercises for students, and it still adds to that best practice of engaging students.
Yeah, and support, internal support, I guess, would be kind of included in our scalability and cost of solution a bit, in that we wanted to be able to support this internally, which
yes.
it's been good. We've been able to do it.
Yes, thank you.
All right. So one more poll. I think we have one more after this too, but what logistical and or technical considerations would you need to make before adopting an educational technology tool or solution like H5P or other solution?
I assume most of you are in the same boat. Oh, go ahead.
No, please.
That's okay. I assume most of you are in the same boat, probably cost. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, this is the word cloud. Nicolas set this up to be a little more fun. Integration, training, technology. having time, that was huge. Time is very big for our team. We're a team of 7 right now, the Learning Experience Design team. So the time it takes to train faculty and to support faculty one-on-one when they call us up and say, hey, this isn't working, or hey, I need some extra training. But also the time it takes faculty to use the tools. That's really important.
Yeah, and buy-in and acceptance, that's something we certainly had our early adopters faculty-wise. We also have another group in our college, our instructional designers, using it in a very consistent manner. Comprehension checks and more interactive and engaging presentation types and stuff. So we have our faculty and our IDs adopting. And the first year, we maybe had 30 or 40 instances, actual items in our courses. But since then, in year 2, I would say our adoption rates have increased significantly as we've continued to do these different types of training. So trainings have definitely helped with a buy-in and an adoption rate for faculty.
Great. Yeah, some great things that we didn't mention. So I appreciate you taking the time to fill out the poll. Wonderful.
And the integration component, we'll talk about a couple of different models that we ran through and one we ultimately landed on and why. So we'll talk about the integration as well.
Perfect. All right, let's talk about H5P. Nicolas is going to walk you through how we set it up.
So H5P is essentially creative HTML5 content types that in our purposes we embed into our learning management system pages. There is other ways. There's there's an integration with Canvas and a couple of other ones, Moodle, I think. But our practice is to embed these content types into our learning management system. They do work with, they're mobile friendly as far as Canvas goes, so they will work and are interactive for mobile users who are using Canvas Student or Android browser or something like that. It's also the way that we've set it up, faculty get access to kind of our online repository, and they can reuse other people's content and they can edit and continue to use their own content. So it's shareable to an extent within our repository and our website and our portal. And then there's reuse and modifying of content as needed. We'll talk a little bit about permissions per the portal, which is just a WordPress website. But through permissions, we're able to kind of make versions for other faculty and then and save the older version for one faculty and allow another one to reuse content if applicable. So it's a really great tool. There's h5p.org, which is an open website where anybody can create a free account and create content there and then embed in their WordPress or learning management system. There's also a new h5p.com. I say new, it's probably about a year old now, where you can buy licenses, enterprise licenses, and you can integrate with learning management systems to provide a little more options and functionality to H5P content. So there are types of content creation. There's like Allison mentioned, there's about 40 types nowadays. When we first started, there were about 34. So they've added, I think, 6 or so in the last 2 years since we adopted this tool. You can create interactive videos where you can overlay and stop the video and ask questions at key moments to kind of as a comprehension check. You can overlay links like YouTube videos where you can overlay links for additional information. You can overlay a lot of different content types onto a video. Branching scenarios, you can do kind of old school story-based experiences. We'll show you one about an instructional designer of ours, a colleague of ours, who made a matrix branching scenario as an example for faculty to see. So it's pretty entertaining. Comes from using some matrix storylines. Interactive timelines, where you can click on a point in time and it'll provide you some different additional information or videos or that sort of thing. drag and drop items, and hotspots where an image is overlaid with things that students can click and additional information will appear. Flashcards, where it's the flashcard game where you have to match two, and you can do an image and you can do a description. So lots of great opportunity for language learning, or word and image associations or something like that. And then quiz questions. And we use a lot of quiz questions as quick comprehension checks for students as they watch videos or read textbooks or visit websites as instructional materials or content into courses. And yeah, so we'll see some examples of those later on. So there were a couple of things we wanted to consider once we kind of landed on H5P as a scalable product, a fairly it was free beyond the hosting of the WordPress website that we use as the portal. And beyond those two things, we also saw some value in this approach of adopting H5P through a WordPress and embedding, because it provided us with administrator rights, the ability to support our faculty as they create items, go in and edit things for them, problem solve, troubleshoot with them. We're also able to, through WordPress's functionality, provide layers of permissions for faculty and users. So we have like a read-only kind of, all faculty can read and create. We have a second level of administrators who can edit all content, delete all content. So we're able to really control users and support users. It was all in pursuit of supporting our faculty as they created content for their online learning courses. So those were big adoption. Those were the big driving factors between the model that we adopted, which was ultimately a WordPress website and embedding into our pages from behind this WordPress that's locked down by accounts. Did I miss anything there, Allison? You want to jump in on?
No, I think you have it pretty well covered. I think it'll make sense. It looks like Tim was chiming in saying he has an account on .org. So our goal today is to talk to you about how we've actually launched it at the University of Denver so that your faculty can share together and have a shared site rather than having to go out to h5p.org and pull that into their courses. So yeah. Nicolas will show you right now.
Yeah, and I guess real quickly to, you're right, our faculty could go use h5p.org and create it, but they wouldn't have the direct support with me or Allison with creation or training opportunities with creation that hosting it on a WordPress website permits. We also have our WordPress website locked down so we can host, faculty can feel a little more comfortable putting their own intellectual property out there, knowing that it's behind a lockdown, a login, and that other faculty would have to ask permission before using and that sort of thing. So the .org open, and also the support was a big aspect of not adopting that practice. There's also, as I mentioned before, a license you can buy for H5P that plugs into certain learning management systems, and it's a per user cost, so it becomes very expensive for us to adopt something like that. We would end up having to pay for every single user, and we would lack a little bit of the administrative ability to support and troubleshoot. Though with the integration into learning management systems, some of the items would then be able to integrate and with the grade book, which is something we don't have through our adoption process. We aren't able to, faculty aren't able to just grade an object or a student's performance in an object and it be plugged right into the grade book. This is a two-step if they want to. They would have to grade the student and then jump back. So there are some trade-offs there, but we ultimately chose hosting a WordPress website that permitted us with the ability to support and maintain a very low cost to the university. I think it's 30 or 40 a month or something like that through a certain WordPress host. So that was kind of our final adoption model. And let's check out some samples. So bear with me as I jump out here.
So this is the fun part, to see kind of what our faculty have created. So we have adjunct faculty with wide ranges of technical abilities. So it's been fun for us to host a few different types of workshops and showcase events so that faculty of all abilities can feel like they're contributing and using technology, and they can kind of learn from some of the more advanced artifacts. So excited to show you kind of what faculty have created. Nicolas is showing you our H5P site right now.
Yeah, this is it's a very basic WordPress website, so it's not hard to navigate or train faculty upon using. This, of course, is the admin side. So the faculty would log in and maybe only have a few options on the left side here, but since I'm an admin, I have more. And then there's an H5P content. And from here, this window is this is the library of all of our content developed and in use for within our courses. I couldn't tell you, there's 30 pages. Couldn't tell you how much content there is at this point. I haven't looked in that, but you're able to add new up here. And then you have the same, if you've ever been to h5p.org, this looks the exact same. The user interface is the same. So there's all the content types you can choose from, and faculty are able to make the content here behind on our website, behind the logins, and gain help from us. If they need, I can go through the library and kind of adjust things or address content types. So functionality wise, it's very simple. And not hard to train faculty on the use of. You know, as I mentioned before, the one trade-off is that it doesn't fully integrate with the gradebook. It's more of an embed situation, and thus its uses are limited to certain types but it's been amazing working with faculty to see how creative they are and how they see these content types, and they're thinking through their discipline or their content area. And what they produce is pretty amazing, and we'll show you some of those. Allison, should I show a few types here? Jump through some examples?
Yeah, go ahead. So we've had some questions. I'm just trying to field some of the questions in the chat about our logins and if it's completely open. And we will share some of our instructions on how we're coaching faculty to use H5P.
Yeah. So this page I'm on right now is our kind of self-paced training course, and it provides a lot of examples. We kind of narrowed the selection of examples to ones that are very widely applicable to course design here at University College. So true-false questions as quick comprehension checks after readings or embedded in a page of informational text. Keeping engaging students, kind of driving their focus to certain aspects of the readings, and acting as more of a student side centered knowledge check. And then there's also multiple choice. So you can provide what kind of berries are these? What color does this black currant berry actually have? Check with this if you haven't seen that functionality. It's all the same if you've used h5p.org. So true, false, multiple choice as good comprehension checks. Maybe you're teaching a scenario where you're introducing new vocabulary. There's drag the words as a good comprehension check into pages. You can also drag images into not just text. There's some cool little options there. Here's an example of a drag and drop with an image. So you have to drag these into the right space. Try that. I got one right. And then you can set up a retry button and students can retry as a comprehension check. Then we get into some of the interactives. As one person mentioned, they're looking to get away from old PowerPoints with voiceovers. This is one way to spruce it up a little bit. This is a video on the parts of a capstone that we use in our capstone course as just kind of an early video on connecting all of the pieces. Where you see the dot on the timeline is where the overlaying interactive component is. So then it asks, drag the words into the correct order. And these are the parts of our current capstone process, which were laid out earlier in the video. So you can act as kind of a comprehension check on a video. When it comes to H5P, you can upload your own videos, or you can pull in like a YouTube and overlay a YouTube video. But that's about as limited where the sources of the video can come from. At the same time, you can do interactive presentations. Unfortunately, with H5P, you can't pull in like a PowerPoint. You kind of have to build your interactive presentation from the ground up in H5P. But very simple example here. And then slide 5 has some interactivity to it. Identify the correct weekly learning objective and drop them here. So some good examples of sprucing up PowerPoint or videos where maybe it's a longer video and there are some very key important components to it that you want the students to really focus on. You could prompt them with questions during those sections of the video. Here's an example of an image hotspot from one of our database security courses where it's laying out the layers of database security with fly-in and additional information. You can fly in text, you can fly in videos, you can fly in images. So pretty neat functionality there, especially if you're using an infographic and as kind of some new informational material for students. Great way to spruce it up and add some interactivity to it. Find all the vegetables, you can click through and we'll say no, yes. Great job, you found the 2 vegetables. Pretty simple little multiple hotspot, true, false kind of thing. And then this is the fun matrix branching scenario that we share with our subject matter experts during our instructional design process, just to showcase branching scenarios. We've also used this type of content for tabletop exercises or simulating decision-making scenarios in management courses. It's kind of helpful there as kind of a practice. You can do some injections of some negative scenarios after a decision and have them branch and kind of navigate a set of decisions and experience those decisions.
I would say this has been really helpful in our applied graduate programs because you can apply these branching scenarios across the board to economics courses, leadership courses, HR courses. So our faculty have really enjoyed this particular type of artifact, and it's not too difficult to make.
No, pretty simple. Well, and in comparison to Storyline, to some of these other to Soft Chalk, to some of these other products, H5P, that was one of the biggest driving reasons was the learning curve. There isn't much of a curve. And if they do get into trouble, we have a way of administrating behind our website and supporting their use of it and their, yeah. So let me get back into the slides here. So now we're going to shift into the training aspect and go through some of the ways that we've trained our faculty and supported them. But we wanted to hear from you as how you might deliver training on this tool or create an awareness campaign on a brand new tool that you're looking to adopt college-wide, system-wide, institution-wide. So let us know what you're thinking, and then we'll show and share with you the way that we've created trainings.
Yeah, thank you. There's been some excellent questions in the chat, and we've shared the open course if anybody's interested. I also posted the types of content in H5P directly on their website. So yeah, some wonderful questions about administration. Give this just a second. And this may look different depending on the type of institution you're at, the type of faculty you have. I know that we work primarily with adjunct faculty, And that training model is probably a little bit different than working with full-time traditional faculty. So if we don't have any replies, let's see, that's okay. Oh, the poll is not displaying. That might be why. Sorry about that. We will walk you through, yeah, our training. It's okay. Oh, they got it. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right.
Perfect. Thank you, everybody. This chat has been very lively. I appreciate that. Develop more interactions. Pilot in a new course. That's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up because not only are we just training faculty to integrate these tools into their courses, we want to train them on how to be intentional and not just to create technology for technology's sake. So they often reach out to either our instructional designers and build these interactions into their courses as they're already getting paid in course development. And so our instructional designers are great because they can work with them, they know which tools are appropriate, and they have that one-on-one support. But when faculty are just using it, we allow them to just integrate it into their current courses, and they can reach out to their teaching and learning strategists to help talk through the tools and to think through, okay, why might I use this? We've always been very careful about the messaging of you want to be very intentional.
Yeah, great point.
Mm-hmm. Grassroots, these are really good responses. Critical thinking skills. And we know that for our faculty, leading by example has been a great way to inspire them. So I think it would have been different if we launched the tool and said, here's this great tool, go use it. But having faculty gain the ability to see other artifacts from other faculty, and for us as administrators to model that in our workshops to say, we're all creating this content together, I think has really helped with this culture of adoption.
Great, yeah, and creating examples is what we've done. We'll show you a very hands-on training model we've been using. Grassroots, that's been interesting. We had early adopters, and I would love, and they have spread the word a little bit. We've created a video, and we didn't actually include that video in this example, but we created like a video of how two faculty were using this content, and that video was then shared with other faculty in that graduate program. So we've done a little bit of the communicating from a faculty champion type thing, but.
Great. And yeah, Carol asked a great question about how we measure the adoption of these tools to understand preferences, trends, needs, and pain points. Yes, excellent point. We, in our professional development workshops, we're always getting feedback. They sign up for an asynchronous workshop and a synchronous workshop. So we're always getting feedback on how that's going with the use of the tool. And the great thing about having this shared site and not having faculty go out to h5p.org and just drag and drop things into their courses is that we can kind of monitor the types of tools they're using, who's using those tools. We can export that data. So we're definitely trying to build that infrastructure to help update the academic directors and let them know, here's the technology that's being utilized in your courses, here are the people who are going above and beyond, and here's the types of activities they're using in your courses.
Yeah, and creating templatized versions of the high use is something we were talking about just prior to the whole coronavirus thing, and something we'll definitely return to as soon as we all are back on normal working scenarios. So yeah, all right.
Yeah, I wanted to share, so we actually we're very close to approving a faculty learning community based on solely on technology. And we were literally in the final stages of sending out the welcome to our adjunct faculty. They all submitted an application with a given tool, and we made them fill out an application to talk through scalability, how they would integrate the tool. And unfortunately, because of the COVID pandemic, our funding got cut, but we had over 25 faculty who are interested in pursuing this learning community to meet 3 times throughout the quarter to talk through best practices related to technology. So it was a really cool way to garner some support and to create kind of these faculty captains to get out there and help coach other faculty on how to use the technology. I don't think you can solely depend on just the administration team.
Yeah. You know, and if we're thinking around how often do faculty use the content, continue to use after a training, we run, here's kind of a breakdown of our trainings. After we do the flipped workshop about twice a year. And I get anywhere from 15 to 20 faculty attending that. They all create content as part of it, and then they use that content in their courses. And I would say probably 5 to 8 of them continue to make new content after the flipped training. So, and then with Allison's example, the professional learning community we were about to start, we would have had 25 more additional people. So through a variety of trainings and adoption, we're hitting a lot of our faculty. 340 is quite a bit, and we're not going to have all of them creating content all the time. I don't think there's a need for that, right? But through a variety of these, we're having adoption work pretty well and grow. Adoption is definitely growing. So.
And Stacy had a really good question. So our biggest faculty complaint and our biggest positive. I guess from my perspective, that's an excellent question, and we'll be very real with you. I would say the biggest complaint is that some faculty do have technical issues, or they get in, they're trying to create some sort of artifact and they get frustrated because they're not all one size fits all, and some are more advanced. And so if they get frustrated, then they're not going to want to go back to that tool. So we've seen a little bit of frustration, but the great thing is having the support person. We're always trying to drive them to work with one of us to help them. The biggest positive, I mean, I've heard multiple faculty share, there's no other way I could visualize sharing this type of content. I know we have, for example, like healthcare faculty providing infographics with hotspots. It's an amazing way to be able to share a large amount of information in an interactive way and to not overwhelm the students and to involve them in the experience. So we've heard some really cool success stories. So I just wanted to speak to that. But yeah, while we're on this slide, I'm watching time too. I know we only have 9 minutes left, but just wanted to mention how we kind of do the training and adoption. So we have a master teacher professional development program, which incentivizes our adjunct faculty to continue in that lifelong learning. We offer about 8 to 10 workshops a quarter that have a wide range related to technology and supporting students and maintaining inclusivity, things like that. And so with H5P specifically, Nicolas has run this a few times where it's an asynchronous workshop over 10 days. And then there's a synchronous component at the end where we get to come together and showcase. It's been very well attended. I think we had like 35 faculty in the last version where they're learning about how to use the tools over the course of 10 days. And Nicolas is constantly posting announcements and kind of reminders and examples so that they have the time to play with the tools in kind of that safe environment, and then they're coming together to showcase and share in the live environment and kind of celebrate with each other. So that's worked really well for us, but we also have a solely 100% self-paced course. If they just want to check it out on their own and don't really want to go through the live component, it's kind of a just-in-time tool. If we hear they want to use H5P, great, check out this self-paced course that you can use when it's important for you. And then lastly, I wanted to mention that we are integrating it into our course design. So all of our new course designs have some element of technology, whether we're using Flipgrid or H5P or other types of tools that are out there, Kaltura. So we're really pushing faculty to think about it on the front end when they're creating those courses. Right?
Yeah. And there's Tim in the chat posed a great question of have we looked at the impact of this kind of content? And We are currently working on that. An assistant director is, and a couple of other adjunct where they're looking at trying to doing a study on how this would impact that kind of thing, student performance. So not quite yet, though we do have just some, course evaluation feedback that they appreciated the interactivity and engagement. But beyond that, we're moving in the direction of trying to figure out how impactful this is on student achievement in our courses. Let's move along.
Some excellent questions. Laura asked about accessibility. So Nicolas, I was talking, I think I posted a link earlier. I know H5P is working on accessibility, but do you know, I don't think all of the different types of artifacts are accessible, but do you know, I think they've come a long way since we first started using them.
Yeah, no, accessibility is a great point because and Allison's correct, not all of this is fully accessible. In that all of it you can create, there are space for alt text where, through our trainings, we're asking our faculty to include alt text so that the items are described, so screen readers have something to produce and tell the student what is represented on the page. So it's accessible in that way, but not all of the aspects or content types are, in my opinion, are fully accessible. I showed examples of maybe 5 or 6 types of interactive H5P content, and those for the most part are accessible. We also, when we do presentations, interactive presentations or interactive videos, we have transcripts and copies of the PowerPoint listed below the items, making the item a little more accessible and in different ways. So to that point, some of our own internal practices and our design, our intentional designing of and uses of these make them more accessible. But naturally, no, some of them are not, for sure. So taking to those in that into account. Yeah, kind of
these are all really excellent questions. I just wanted to acknowledge the group here because you're all focused on, student outcomes, reporting, data, accessibility. So all excellent questions. And I think we're still in the infancy in terms of where we think we can go with this platform and how we can get more and more faculty to use it. But thank you for all of your wonderful questions. And we do have follow-up resources, or you can shoot us an email. We have our emails up on the screen, Nicolas Parez, Allison O'Grady at DU. We're happy to share more information about the Master Teacher Professional Development Program. But thank you for attending, for those who may need to jump out, but we'll hang around for a few minutes for questions.
The outcomes use, the 5 or 6 types of helping these guide students to achieve learning outcomes is an excellent, it's mostly what our instructional designers are using it for. Our comprehension checks, certain types of content act as, like a mid-step, a little knowledge check or outcome check for the student prior to getting to the activity or the discussion prompt or whatever the actual assessment or activity might be in relation to the outcome. So our instructional designers and our faculty who go through our trainings are very intentionally designing for outcomes. And so, yeah, y'all are, this is ELCC's fun. You guys asked the good questions.
Great, thank you all. We really appreciate it. Wonderful, thank you. Yes, please give us feedback. Amy dropped the link into the chat and is encouraging everyone to attend the new keynote. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Allison and Nicolas. I'm going to go ahead and end this meeting.
Wonderful. Thank you, Amy. Take care.
Bye.
All right. Bye.